Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to return for our second season of Tomorrow Be Televised segments right here on BK Live. One quick news note, Netflix has renewed Narcos, the show that came in second season last Friday, for 2 more seasons going to 2017 and 2018. Since 1979, the Independent Filmmakers Project has been the glue between people who want to create films outside of the studio system and people who want to finance those creations. IFP represents thousands of filmmakers worldwide, some of whom will assemble here in New York for the organization's annual Film Week. The latest edition begins September 17th with 2 groundbreaking elements. This IFP Week happens in Brooklyn for the first time, and for the first time, it's television inclusive. And joining us now with the TV details is the Deputy Director and Head of Programming at IFP, Amy Dotson. Amy, welcome to our first BK Live of the season.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Why now for your organization to get involved with television after several years where independent filmmakers like Sam Esmail, Mr. Robin, and others are jumping into the medium?
You bet. Well, we were talking a little bit before the show as well, but for us, our mission is really to make sure that artists who might not otherwise be heard can be heard no matter what medium they choose. That's always been kind of implicit in our mission, but this year especially, we've been seeing more and more of our filmmaker alumni making and telling not only television, but web series, but VR, serialized content that breaks form and boundaries. So, for example, we were saying that we supported a little project called Making of a Murderer many years ago, and that got the attention of our friends at Netflix, and they went on to say, well, it's a great feature film, but what if you turned it into a series? So it's something where sometimes, whether it's nonfiction or fiction content, there's such a great story at hand that maybe film is the right medium, or maybe it can fall outside the boundaries.
Before we talk about what you're going to be doing at Film Week about television, since you represent this community of independent filmmakers, why do they see television as their way to go?
Sure. So again, I think television has a set of limitations as well as a set of really exciting boundaries that can be pushed. They see that we have amazing writers, we have amazing producers, we have amazing content creators and directors, and they can use their skill set for a long time. And I think that the old model of filmmaking was you make a film. You hope for the best. It goes to a great festival. Maybe a distributor picks it up, and then a few years later, maybe even a lot of years later, you make your second feature. We live in a time it's not 1992 anymore. People want to create and to make and to collaborate. And to do so, they need to kind of shift their skill set to just being very linear, to being multifaceted and being able to tell stories in a multiplicity of ways.
And that's the big difference, Amy, is that now you have people like Esmail on Mr. Robot running the show. He's not just creating the program or maybe writing a segment or directing a segment. He is doing it all. And a USA Network or a Netflix or a Hulu or a Crackle, they're letting these creators run, as Supermarket Sweep used to say, running wild through the aisles, but they're letting him do it with such creative control.
Absolutely. And they have collaborators, right? So they are having creative control, but they have trusted cinematographers, production teams, producers. They have key crew. They have key actors and actresses that they've worked with for years. They're bringing all of that to the table. And I think that that's part of the IFP community is we're not just connecting them to the Netflixes and the Hulus of the world, which is obviously wildly important if anybody wants to see the work, but it's making sure that they're meeting others that they can collaborate with. And maybe they're not strong in TV yet, but there's a director that came before them that can mentor them or can help them along and help them to meet the right people to get that story heard.
So I believe there's 2 ways that this IFP Film Week coming up in a week or so is going to deal with that. One way is that you're going to have some television panels, and one of them specifically is very interesting, where you're going to have a former star of Charmed, who has now decided to go strictly behind the camera, Rose McGowan, address the crowd.
Sure. So, it's very important for us as well, as I said at the top of our conversation, to make sure that all voices are heard. So we have 25 international partners, people from around the world coming to have their voices heard in the U.S. But most important to us is that women, people of color, LGBTQ, everybody is invited to IFP. Everybody is invited to tell their stories. And I think that that's one of the things that Rose is very passionate about. We have an enormous conversation, even in popular culture right now, about women being able to tell their stories. And I think that that's something that Rose is very passionate about and is going to speak to. She chose to come to IFP, I would like to think, because most of our filmmakers are coming from those diverse backgrounds. We have 50% women narrative directors, 70% women doc directors, and in our kind of diverse backgrounds, we have over half as well. So it's not kind of business as usual at IFP. We're really making sure, and I think that that's something that Rose and Randy Klein, who's having the conversation.
The co-creator of Series Fest in Denver.
Absolutely, and a good friend of IFP and a good friend to all television independent creators. We want to have that discussion publicly. We want people able to really get to be behind the scenes and have those things, not behind closed doors, but in a public setting.
And McGowan also has decided to put together her own project to get more women of color in the door, producing women. And it's the latest in a series of projects that are happening. Women in Film with the Blacklist in their project. We did it together. We for she, and so on and so forth. Is there a way that IFP can work with all of these different entities to have each of them and all of them together accomplish their aims?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that we are a collaborative organization. We are a nonprofit. We've been around for 38 years, and that's the whole point of IFP. It's not just for the artists and the filmmaking community. It's a coming home. Film Week is for all these organizations or the Netflixes of the world, or even the people that are going to be Netflix 5 years from now, to come and to be together and really talk about these things and find solutions and find ways that these stories can be told, and stories can be told better.
Now, there's also going to be at least one screening. We're going to focus on TV work and web work. That's going to be at Brooklyn Bridge Park.
Correct. And that's part of our Screen Forward Labs initiative. So while Film Week is wonderful, it's but one of the initiatives that IFP has around kind of new forms of storytelling. We have the Media Center, which is down in Dumbo. It's a 22,000 square foot space where artists and collaborators from around the globe can come year-round and really explore companies or ideas or projects around the intersection of story and tech. We also have our Screen Forward Labs. We're an organization that really wants to help when people need it most. People have made these great projects. Now what? They've made a pilot. Now what? We help them figure out, how do you market it? How do you build audience? How do you figure out ways to then take that project and take it to the next level? So we do that through this screening. This screening is for anyone from anybody that wants to come to see this new creative content, but make no mistake, there are buyers there are festival heads, there are all sorts of people that are tastemakers that are coming to get a sneak preview so that they can potentially take it from that early stage into the public.
Amy, do you see this Film Week as the jump-off point of a year-round effort by your organization to get more independent producers involved with television, get the film festivals like New York and Sundance and Televised and others that have dabbled or have not done television work in the past to finally jump in and say, hey, to our constituency, let's get in, and also work with the TV festivals, New York, ITVS coming up in Vermont, Series Fest in Denver, which Randy's part of, and so on and so forth, to get those festivals to have a more collaborative effort with your organization?
Absolutely. The motto for Film Week this year is everybody gets creative, and that's the point, is for all of us to kind of take a step back, no matter where you're coming from, an emerging filmmaker or a very large established film festival or organization, and understand, how is this ecosystem working, what's broken, how can we figure out ways to give opportunities for all. But most importantly, it's really a time and a space and a place that challenges kind of the status quo, and figuring out, okay, we have been an organization for 38 years that's really worked with independent filmmakers. And now more and more there are independent television and web series creators. How do we support that? Not just us. We're coming from a place of humility and learning as we go with these partners and these artists that we work with. That said, we're all in the same boat, that we do need to pivot and do need to evolve to open the door of opportunity to all of those creatives that
Are the people like Netflix, by the way, and the cable networks and the broadcast networks and others, are they helping you open the door, or as you say, the ecosystem may be still a jumbled mess?
No, we obviously are always a place of support, but it's a place of talent, and a place that I think the industry very clearly after 38 years recognizes that this is where you come for new ideas, this is where you come for talent. We're the only co-production market in the U.S. You go to Berlin, you go to Cannes, you go all over the world, you go to Goa, India. There are all these amazing co-production markets. We're the only international co-production market that exists in the United States for this. And so certainly our two biggest sponsors, which we're very grateful for, are Amazon and HBO. They're coming because they obviously love the work we do, but they find new talent every year.
And we should point out, by the way, Amy, both of them produce shows or distribute shows that are made right here in BKLYN. Amy, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck with the Film Week. And hopefully it is the first of a jump-off point for your organization to work more with television festivals, film festivals, et cetera, to open the door up for more television people.
Thank you, and I hope that your viewership definitely comes down to Dumbo and sees us, and they can find us at ifpfilmweek.com to buy tickets or to come down to any of the free events. Thanks so much.
You're welcome, Amy.